A prestigious family-owned company ruined my small business and smeared my name, so I uncovered their founder's racist past and permanently tied it to their brand. For 10 years, I poured my life into my small graphic design firm. We were good, we were passionate, and we were finally landing bigger clients. Our biggest contract came from the Sterling Corporation, a massive, family-owned real estate empire that had been a pillar of our city for 3 generations. The project was a complete rebranding. We worked for 6 months, creating hundreds of logos, marketing materials, and a new website. We delivered everything on time and exceeded all their expectations. Then, they refused to pay the final, largest invoice of $80,000. Their reason was nonsense. They claimed we were late on final delivery, a lie easily disproven by our email records. When I showed them the proof, they just changed their story. They said the quality was not up to their Sterling standard. It was a classic big company tactic to crush a small vendor. They knew we did not have the money to fight them in a long, drawn-out legal battle. We were financially ruined. The worst part was what they did to my reputation. When I tried to warn other small businesses about them, their patriarch, Charles Sterling III, used his influence. He told people I was unstable, that my work was shoddy, and that I was trying to extort him. He was a respected philanthropist with his name on hospitals and university buildings. I was a nobody. People believed him. My company folded. I lost my employees, my savings, and my professional reputation. I was broken and furious. They had built their legacy on an image of integrity, and they had used that image to destroy me. I knew I could not fight them on their terms, so I decided to fight them on the one thing they cared about more than money, their precious family name. I became obsessed with the history of the Sterling Corporation. I spent my nights digging through digital archives, old newspapers, and public records from the 1950s, when the company was founded by Charles Sterling I. For weeks, I found nothing but the polished, carefully curated history they presented to the world. But then, I found a loose thread, an old city council zoning meeting from 1962. In the archived minutes, there was a proposal for a new housing development. Charles Sterling I had spoken at the meeting, vehemently opposing the project. His official reason was concerns about property values. But I kept digging. I eventually found the full, unedited transcript of the meeting in the university's historical archives. It was a dusty, forgotten document that no one had digitized. And in that transcript I found it, the reputational asset I was looking for. Charles Sterling I's full, unvarnished speech was a disgusting, racist tirade against the idea of integrated neighborhoods. He used slurs and talked about the purity of the community. It was not just a product of its time, it was hateful, even for the 60s. He was not just protecting property values, he was a militant segregationist. This was the foundation of their precious legacy. This was the man with his name on the library. I did not leak it to some gossip blog, I wanted it to be permanent and undeniable. I took high-resolution scans of the original transcript. Then, I wrote a calm, factual article titled, The Full History of the Sterling Corporation's Founding Principles. I created a simple, professional-looking website with a name optimized for search engines, Sterling Corporation History. I posted the article, the scanned documents, and a factual account of my own experience with the company, linking all my evidence. The final step was to make sure it was seen. I sent the link to a handful of local historians, university alumni groups, and journalists who covered real estate and business ethics, framing it as a piece of lost city history. It took 2 weeks. A local investigative reporter picked it up. He authenticated the documents and ran a massive story with a headline, Sterling Legacy Built on Segregationist Principles, Founders' Racist Speeches Uncovered. The fallout was immediate and catastrophic for their brand. Now, when you search for Sterling Corporation, my website and that news article are the first things that appear. The university began proceedings to have their name removed from the building. Charitable organizations publicly distanced themselves from the family. They lost several major contracts from socially conscious investors. They tried to bury it with public relations statements, but you cannot bury the past when it is a high-ranking search result. They destroyed my company, but I destroyed their name. Mine can be rebuilt. Theirs is now permanently stained by the truth.